here, and in this video I'm going to bring you a little bit of an update on how my league's been going. As I said in my last video, I kind of took a week off from recording videos. I was visiting the folks and didn't really want to, impose on them by recording videos and all that stuff in their household. I was playing, so I did get some grinding on, but it was mostly at night whenever they went to sleep. Partially due to my schedule is going to be shifting, and I'm going to be basically doing overnight soon, so we'll see. So in this video, I'm going to give you an update on where I am in League and exactly what I'm doing to make the currency I'm making. I've been making a really huge amount of currency and been getting a lot of good snipes going on and really cheap, really valuable items. Back to back. As far as on console, I know on PC the values of these aren't exactly that big, but I do have an explode bow and an endurance charge ring and a couple other niche, like, pretty good items for me that I like to, sit around and craft in standard in the future. Excuse me. Sorry about that. But I just wanted to kind of update you what I have going on in League. So in League, we are currently doing MF Towers Tier 3. Now, I know that there is a Tier 6 strategy which allows you to get access to Mageblood and Headhunter, and a Tier 10 strategy which allows you to gain access to Awakened Sextants, which, I believe they're like anywhere between 30 to 35 to an Exalt. However, with these strategies, there's a couple nuances that I don't like. First and foremost, the drop rate of a Mageblood or Headhunter is still a random drop, and it will take a lot more time to clear each map individually, and I would most likely have to drop specific pieces of gear or change specific pieces of gear out to use to basically be able to clear them. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to do full MF. As you can see here, our build is entirely MF aside from our helmet, and our helmet's going to change eventually anyway. But let's go ahead and show you what we got going on. So we are a lightning arrow pathfinder, and we are a pathfinder for a few reasons, but first let's get into our gear. First and foremost, we have our added lightning faster prod imperial bow, Wind Ripper. Now this is really good for lightning arrow. The added lightning basically gives us another link to it along with the faster prod for a basically an 8 link almost. It's a really strong bow, and with the added cold I just do insane damage. Now I will say that what I can do, or what you can do if you want to use something like this, is you can use Trinity support, because your damage is split in such a way. Trinity support will give you a lot of DPS. However, I'm not actually needing DPS. I can comfortably kill 20% deli, 100% quant, all that other stuff, or 100%, what do you call it? Yeah, 100 quant maps, tier 3, pretty easily. There are maps that when I get to 300 stacks, obviously I get one shot by a pack, but I mean, come on, they do so much damage. My current kit is basically built around me not dying. As you see here, my flasks are auto popping, and I'm not even doing anything. And we'll get into that as we go along. So our next thing here is our increased rarity pariah ring with minus 30 cold res. Now this is about the best you can do. You can get another tier higher. This is, I think, tier 3. I think it goes up to tier 4 or tier 5 on rarity, but I'm not even sure if you can get quantity. I haven't looked at all the modifiers, but I stopped on this because getting a rarity mod on a pariah ring white socket is insane. This allows you to have just a little bit of rarity along with the 15 quantity that you're getting. And of course, 2 levels of socketed gems gives us 2 more levels to our hatred. Then we have a second pariah with reduced effect of curses on you. Now, with this and with our flask here, we have 62 and goes up to 78 reduced curse effect, and we can get another 30 in our Pantheon, I believe it is, for 100% reduced curse effect, meaning literally curses do nothing to us. And this is pretty good, and the minus fire res doesn't really hurt us a lot because of our setup, and we'll keep going as we show you the rest of our gear. We are currently using a a flask belt with essence with essence strength. So because we sold our headhunter, we needed an item that would give us a lot of essence on it, a lot of essence, a lot of strength on it. So we decided to essence it, and we were aiming for that last suffix or the second suffix there, the sipping, the reduced flash charges used. I'm pretty sure you guys know of a current setup right now going around of people doing something like this, and I'll go over that setup as I go. But as we have like the reduced flash consumed, increased flask effect duration, which increases the duration of your flasks, and then stun duration on enemies. So stun duration on enemies is really, really good in Scourge because this is basically whenever you shift to Scourge, all of those enemies just get stunned for 35% longer. So if they get stunned for like 3 seconds, they get stunned for 4 seconds. You know what I mean? And obviously, it's not like it's noticeably different if you're just sitting there and you shift and they stun. You'll see them like tick for like one more half second or something. It lets you reposition. I've noticed it. It's really cool. But obviously, you're not going to want this for like the end game of the build. This is just because I am running very low tier maps and I really want to make sure I, can do it within one portal and then have the other portals to loot if I need to. Our boots are perfect rolled 27 quality, what do you call it? Gold worms. If you see there, we have a double corruption of duration max life. Fortunately, I don't have any duration gems in it currently. I will be getting to that eventually. I do want to kind of max out and make it really good. It is perfect rolled for fire res and quantity. And then we have a Kringle for rank 7 region. Now, this rank 7 region goes really well with the rest of our kit because this means when we're hit, we regen literally 27 life, or 21 life, sorry, 21 life instantly. And on top of that 21 life, we regen a lot of other life as well. And then we have a Parasitima's Touches, 23 quality, 10 quantity with LE weakness. And from there, we have a Void Fletcher with extra arrow. This was very expensive, but it was worth it. Then we just have an Anointed Biscos with Whispers of Doom, a Asenath Chant, and this Asenath Chant just Ice Shot damage enchanted. And then we'll go ahead and go over our links. We have Added Cold, Phantasmal Lightning Arrow for additional enemy, Awakened Ally damage with attacks, so we can't take Reflect, Anomalous Inspiration for the crit, Chain, and GMP. You don't need the Awakens, you're running low tier maps, you're not, like, your pack size isn't super stupendous. Our single target is Ice Shot, Broad Support, Divergent Inspiration, Elemental damage with attacks, Anomalous Faster Proj, and Awakened Cold Pin. Now, Faster Proj isn't really necessary, but we do have this note here which says projectiles from supported skills have 60% chance to return from final target. So this is basically like having Vengeance Cascade on your single target. Unfortunately, we don't have Pierce anymore or Chain in our main kit, so we basically don't get the Faster Proj. You can actually drop this for something else, but it does have an increase of damage, and I'm running tier 3 maps exclusively, so, this is just my personal preference. I think to date I've farmed a total of 3 doctors worth of nurses or more, for a total about, I think, anywhere from 40 to 50 X just in that. I farmed about 30 or 40 raw X, and it's just been pretty good. I farm maybe 10 maps a day or so when I'm at my parents', maybe a little less, and then I go do something else and have some fun. I also go do other maps whenever I'm running low on towers, but as of now I've been almost permanently self-sustaining towers with only one favorite slot open. Our Asenath's Chance, the typical Hydrosphere, Creeping Frost, Sniper's Mark, Bone Chill. It's basically the bare basic setup that you're going to want for this because you're basically going to be doing a lot of extra damage with your kit, and that's really, really good with when you have something like Lightning Arrow with cold damage. Now, like I said, if you want to do the Trinity, you will be more than sufficient. So then we have our tree. Our tree's a Flask Finder tree, so we are taking the Flask nodes right here. And right here is reduced flash charge, or sorry, increased flash charges gain here. And then we go down here for increased flash charges gained again. And flash charges have increased effect, or flash supplied have increased effect, which is incredibly insane for this build. And we are using 2 small clusters, one with Hatred Reserve and one with Determination Reserve. This is giving us a very comfortable amount of mana left over, so, you know, we're just kind of enjoying that. Let's see. We're only taking the top half, the crit half of the bow cluster, but you can take both if you want to. I just, you know, decided this is what I wanted to do, so I'm doing this. Obviously, I can just overall drop this whole life wheel and take the other half for attack speed. It's like, it's not really that much difference in life, and for me, I was experimenting, but I'll go ahead and, like, if you look, this is our attack speed now. It's already fair. You know, you don't need an insane amount as is, but basically, if you do that, if you do decide to go this route, the attack speed does go up exponentially. So, like, it's really noticeable in the change. Like, you start shooting 3 times per 2 seconds or something like that instead of like one. I don't know. It's noticeable. It feels like it's noticeable in a map too. So we are taking the crit cluster here, more flash clusters. We have increased flash effect duration. Flask effect have increased effect, increased flask effect duration, and remove maim and hinder, which means we are basically unmaim unhinderable at this current setup, and we have the increased flask effect here. Then we go down here, we have point blank. We are currently using the mark setup, so enemies that are near my marked enemy are blinded, and I cull enemies that are marked, so bosses get culled at 10%, I think? Yeah, 10%. And then we have a flask medium cluster right here, which is brewed for potency, spiked concoction. Now, I could actually, most likely I could drop something, like maybe fix my reses here, because this is basically giving me cold and lightning, and that's helping me res cap, right? I could drop this or fix this up and like undo this, put this at my cluster, save 3 points. But as of now, I haven't figured out what I'm going to do or how I'm going to do that, so we're just kind of using what we have and just enjoying it the way we have it. So, aside from that, we also have our Flask Finder setup with our Ascendancy. We are currently using Master Alchemist, which removes elemental elements when you use a flask, and Nature's Boon, which is you gain 3 flask charges every 3 seconds and reduce elemental damage taken. Also, 21% chance for a flask not to consume charges. This with this equals 29% chance, 30% chance once I divine that. And that's really, really strong, because that means I just have a chance to where my flasks automatically go off and don't use charges. Then we have Nature's Adrenaline, which is movement speed, attack speed during flask effect. And Master Surgeon, which is remove bleeding from flask effect, corrupted blood from flask effect, gain a flask charge when you deal a crit. And the biggest part there is recover 6% life when you use a flask. So what this means is whenever I use a flask, I gain 6% of my total life. Now the way I have it set up is I have gained 7 charges when I'm hit by an enemy, and they all trigger when I reach full. And we are basically going the mageblood setup using all of these flasks here. These each give us a total of 150 res by themselves without the flask effect. Now if I were to go over here and take one off, for example, if I take off the Topaz Flask, I have 88 as overcap. If we wait for our flask to go off, you'll see exactly how much res this is actually giving us. Flasks last a long time. We are negative 35, so this is actually giving us, this is giving us 35 plus 88, so over 100 res. Basically, this means our flask is currently 2.0 value. So like you see here, oh, this is the one I have with extra res. So let's go ahead and take off this one to show you. This is our fire res one. This is just armor, so from 92 fire res. So now we have to wait for the flask to fall off. And we go down to 15. So this is going to, this is 80. What is that? 75, 77 res it's giving us. So it's 1.5 or something like that times the effect, meaning that meaning the fire damage taken is about 30% less fire damage taken instead of what it is now. which is 20%. Then, of course, it also has the effect of the increased armor, and I believe the gain flash charges is also increased as well. So aside from those things going on, if you look here, it consumes 20 charges on use. Well, because we have a reduction in our kit, it actually consumes something along the lines of like 14 or 13 charges or something like that. I believe I believe it's a lot less. I think we have it down to consume just enough. Let me see. Increased flash charges gained. Okay, so I think what it is we have enough flash charges gained. Let's see. We have to go to our character. It's the way it's there we go. So flash charges gain modifiers plus 95%. It's not 100%, but 95% means we gain 14 flash charges basically, or 13 I think, and then minus 35% used means we get means I think it's 35% of 20, which is like 15 or something. And I believe it's something like that. But when we get hit, it immediately triggers the flasks, which immediately heal us for 36 or 3, 6, 12, 18, 24% of our life. This doesn't have that same setup technically because I wanted to keep the increased increased effect reduced duration. The reduced duration does nothing for against me because I have so much flask effect and effect duration, and I have all of the flask effect going on that it just makes it so I'm zoomy. Like this is pretty fair movement speed considering I'm using boots with 10 movement speed. Like this is my normal movement speed, and then the flask is like it's almost triple my excuse me, I'm sorry, triple my movement speed. So aside from that, we are again also taking a lot less damage. So if you're thinking about or if you're thinking about doing this, just remember that, you know, taking less damage. It's less lightning damage taken, less fire damage taken, and less cold damage taken. And the reason why people use mageblood for this setup is because they get it to something like this. Not to the exact extent, but to pretty close of an extent, and manage to just sit there and blow through content and be super tanky. Well, I'm doing this on a rotatable setup without the the inability to gain flash charges, obviously, from those orbs. Of course, I lose the effect, which is kind of it's kind of meh. However, it's not that big a deal whenever I have so much extra effect going on with the rest of my kit. So yeah, that's basically that's basically it as far as that goes. As if you can't tell here, our defense stats are relatively solid. We have 65% chance physical damage reduction, 50% chance to evade attacks. We don't have any spell suppression, but as you see, we are pure MF aside from our belt. Everything here is like quant gear. Then of course we have a little bit of extra damage on our Asenath chant. Quant gear, and then a little bit damage on our Void Fletcher. So we have as much as we can get as far as pushing damage, and we have as much as we can get as far as pushing just the rest of our kit. Now we are using Divergent Determination, which means we gain 2% of our evasion as armor. We currently don't have a lot of evasion, so it's not that beneficial, but it is still very beneficial once we decide to switch to Hyries. Currently in our kit, if you can't tell, we are actually taking, if you can't tell there, 109% less crit damage. We don't have full avoidance on our Shock Ignite and whatnot, but we remove Shock Ignite upon immediately using a flask. And we remove Corrupted Blood immediately, we remove Bleeding immediately, and we are permanently immune to poison, and we always have increased armor and increased evasion. And because of this, we have an additional 30% all res, which ends up getting buffed to somewhere like 35, like 45 or something like that, or 50 all res on top of the 50 lightning, fire, and cold, and which is modified and whatnot. So That's pretty much what we have going there. Now we have a Jade Flask here, and the reason we have a Jade Flask is because the Jade Flask by itself with Flask effect is giving us all of that evasion, up to 50% evasion, which is pretty good. We do want to be hit obviously for the kit to work, but if we can avoid taking hits in the meantime as well, there's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, if you're doing this build and trying to tweak around and mess with the flask stuff, you can probably get more flask effect and have just like insane reductions and insane just powerhouse setups, and I'm sure you can take this a lot further than I did. And I'm planning on doing that with a Lightning Strike MF build eventually, and I'm gonna take and run around with Lightning Strike instead of Lightning Arrow because I've played Val Lightning Strike, and Lightning Strike just seems like something I'm interested in. So I hope you guys liked this video. This has been a really fun project of mine that I kind of theory crafted after hearing a friend do it, and then someone posted a YouTube video, and I kind of said, you know what, I want to do it too. And I hopped on the bandwagon, and I really am enjoying it. The friend of mine isn't taking it to this point, but I did share with him. But so let's go ahead and, because you're all here already, I'm going to show you what kind of maps I do. Obviously, tier 3 towers. We have 2 fragments and a scarab. I haven't opened up my 5-way. I could open up my 5-way, but I've just been really like lazy lately, and just 5 more quantity is 5 more quantity. It's whatever. Eventually, I get to it. Then I choose either beasts, incursions, which I've used almost all of them, or syndicate. And I've been lately just doing a little bit of these, just because I tried this in delve at like the depth I can get to, which is like 150 or something, and literally take no damage, which is hilarious. I really enjoyed that. And then yeah, so that's something that you guys may want to look into. Obviously, I'm just gonna, for the sake of the video, I'm just not gonna do that, and I'll stop recording in the middle of this because each one of these towers does take me a little bit to loot, and I don't want to have to go back for loot and do all that stuff. So I'll just kind of showcase it and then cut the video and then finish my tower, off the video. So let's go ahead and show you a little bit of what we're doing and why we are enjoying this so much. Alright, so let's go ahead and take out the watchstones. So the reason we take out watchstones is because this is helping us sustain the towers, and it helps us get a lot more other white tier maps. White tier maps, in my opinion, are really, really good this league, especially because you can take and farm things like estuary really, really quickly and still get to like almost 250 plus stacks. Usually I average 250 stacks, and at that point you just start dropping all kinds of uniques and all kinds of small currency, and then estuary helps drop strand and all that other stuff as well. So another good thing about running the estuary is you don't really have to increase the quantity of them. You can just play them normally. Let's see. Looks like my friend is messaging me. I'll have to message him in a second. So let's go ahead and show you what this is about. So this is basically what it looks like. I want to get... Oh, okay. Well, I think that was chaos damage, if I'm not mistaken, right? I think it was. I have negative chaos res, so obviously chaos damage can one-shot me. But the elemental damage and the physical damage shouldn't be able to one-shot me. Come here to do a showcase, and I end up messing it up. This is basically what it looks like. We just bounce back and forth, back and forth. They hit us once, we go back to full health. That's what you can expect. And, I'm sure you've seen a million videos with people MFing tower in the background. And, you don't really have to see me do it, so I'm just gonna... Yeah, this is console for you. You do lag a lot whenever you shift in the nightmare. It mostly only happens during the first part of the map for some reason, and then after that it kind of winds down the lag. So that's at least a silver lining, I guess. Looks like we have a Cassia, which is cool. See, as you can see, we're not really worried about dying. The chaos damage is something that kills us, but if you're aware that there's chaos damage, then you can just kind of shoot them ahead of time. And for the most part, it's like we're immune to crits, immune to curses, almost immune to curses, not fully, but we can get the Pantheon to do it. That's just kind of where we're at right now. We are pretty much immune to elemental damage. Not immune, but we take a lot less elemental damage. Now, I'm thinking maybe I can push this even further. Um, Obviously, with Alchemist Genius, you can't get multiple and stack them, but if there's any other flask effect I can take, I can probably take that and get even less damage taken. And then, of course, if I want to do later tier maps as Lightning Strike at that point, I can easily do that. But as is, I feel like Lightning Arrow is just kind of, it's good for the clear, especially with GMP and Chain. GMP Chain just pretty much carries what I'm doing here, so I do appreciate it for what it is. If you guys do decide to do this, I would definitely recommend doing GMP and Chain, because sometimes, like I said, I don't have a Headhunter. I do have an Inspired Learning, and I showed you most of my clusters, but I have an Inspired Learning and a Lion Eye Fall, but other than that, like, if you don't have a Headhunter, this can get really slow in comparison to having a Headhunter. I decided to drop the Headhunter in favor of running just something new, and just because I actually flipped it and got a pretty good profit on it, so that always works. Yeah, as I said, I'm not gonna bore you with me doing this whole map. I'll probably finish this floor in the recording and then start the upload and finish this map off the video. But I hope you guys enjoy my content. I hope you have fun. Hope you have fun with this league, and I hope there's just a lot of good luck with all my viewers and subscribers. So far, my luck's been pretty decent. Nothing like outstanding, I guess. Nothing that just like, oh, I got so lucky I got this. Everything I've worked for, and I'm pretty excited that I've grinded for everything I have. And my goal, hopefully by the end of the league, is to get a mageblood, so I can have fun with it in standard. I would like to have fun with it in League, but I already went Pathfinder, and I don't think I'm going to just do Pathfinder with mageblood. I think it's just kind of silly, and I don't think I'm going to switch off of Pathfinder because I'm really enjoying this setup. We'll see. We'll see how things play out. But as I said, there's a whole lot of things to be just kind of had this league, and this is, I don't know, there's a lot of things I could get and I can work for, but I mean, for the most part, I'm just enjoying League and grinding the currency to maybe get the one item I'm looking for. On console, I know of 4 or 5 total Magebloods, and there's probably a few I don't know about. So, unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of opportunity for me to, get a bunch of Magebloods, sadly. But, if it happens, it happens. We'll see. Looks like someone just found a mirror. Nice. Well, you guys saw it on my video. But either way, I hope you guys enjoy my content. Have a good one.